Hello guys, welcome to this special class. Today we are going to learn about the present simple tense. The present simple tense expresses regular and repeated actions in the present. So we can talk about habits, routines, the activities that we do with some frequency in our lives. We use the present simple to express universal facts, like scientific facts, things that are always true. For example, 2 and 2 make 4. The earth revolves around the sun. The sky is blue. The sun rises in the east. As you can see here in these sentences, they are situations that are always true, that they always happen in that way. For example, the sun rises in the east and it always sets in the west. We can also use the present simple to express permanent situations, things that are not expected to change soon. For example, I live in London. She works in a restaurant. He has three sisters. They are married. It is very common that we talk about our routines and habits with the present simple tense because they are repeated and regular actions in the present. For example, I play tennis on weekends. My dad watches his car every Sunday. I hang out with my friends on Saturdays. She always wakes up at 7 a.m. Although the present simple is to express things that happen regularly in the present, we can also talk about the future, a future timetables. They are fixed events that are part of a schedule, program, or calendar. For example, the train leaves at 11 a.m. The flight arrives tomorrow afternoon. My English class starts at 2 p.m. My birthday is on 8th next month. So, as you can see in these sentences, we are using time expressions at the end of each sentence to specify when each action happened in the future. It can be a time, can be a specific moment of the day, or it can be a specific date. There is a rule that we use when expressing the present simple tense, and that rule applies for verbs, but only when we use the subject pronouns he, she, it, or any singular name or noun. This means that we are only going to change the verb when using these subjects. For most verbs, you simply add s to the base form. As you can see here in this chart, we only modify the verb that works with the subjects he, she, and it. For example, work. It changes to works. He works, he works hard. She works, she works hard. It works hard. With the rest of the subject's pronouns, we don't modify the verb. For example, I work hard. You work hard. We work hard. They work hard. There are a few important spelling sections for the third person singular. So, depending on the ending of each verb is the modification we are going to do to each verb. So, if the ending of the verb is with an S, Z, X, SH, CH, or O, we add ES to the end. For example, we have the verb pass. It changes to passes. For example, she passes the salt. Watch, watches. He watches TV. Go, goes. It goes fast. When the verb ends in consonant plus the letter Y, we change the letter Y to IES. We have the verb study. It changes to studies. For example, she studies English. Try, tries. He tries his best. Finally, when we have a verb that ends in vowel plus Y, we just add S. For example, play, plays. He plays soccer. Say, says. She says hello. The third person singular rule also applies for some irregular verbs. Irregular verbs change their form. There are two very common verbs that are irregular in the third person singular. They are have and the verb be. Have changes to has and be changes to is. For example, he has a car. She is happy. How to form positive sentences? We form present simple positive like this. The subject pronoun and the main verb. For example, I swim, you swim, we swim, they swim, he swims, she swims, it swims. Remember, we only add an S at the end of the verb when you see the subject pronouns he, she, it. We form present simple question like this. When making questions with the present simple tense, we need to use the auxiliaries do and does. But what are auxiliaries? The auxiliaries tell us the verb tense of a sentence, whether if it is in present, in past, or in future. In this case, we use do and does to express the present. For example, do works with the subject pronouns I, you, we, and they, while does works with he, she, it, with the third person singulars. Do I sleep? Do you sleep? Do we sleep? Do they sleep? Does he sleep? Does she sleep? Does it sleep? Notice that in the question with the auxiliary does, we don't add an S at the end of the verb sleep. This is because in the sentence we have the auxiliary does, and we only change the verb when making affirmation. So, do not change the verb if the auxiliary does is in the sentence. We for present simple negative by using the auxiliary do or doesn't and the negative not. In this case, we have the contracted form don't and doesn't. For example, I don't eat meat. You don't eat meat. We don't eat meat. They don't eat meat. He doesn't eat meat. She doesn't eat meat. It doesn't eat meat. Notice that we don't change the verb when using doesn't. This is because we have does in a sentence. Of course, we can also say I do not eat meat or he does not eat meat. We form short answers like this. With positive short answers, we say, yes, I do. Yes, you do. Yes, we do. Yes, they do. Yes, he does. Yes, she does. Yes, it does. And with negative short answers, we say, no, I don't. No, you don't. No, we don't. No, they don't. No, he doesn't. No, she doesn't. No, it doesn't. And we form long answers like this. With positive long answers, we say, yes, I like chocolate. Yes, he loves chocolate. Notice that with the subject pronoun he, the verb love changes by adding an S at the end. He loves chocolate. With the negative long answer, we say, no, I don't like chocolate. No, he doesn't like chocolate. Remember, we only add S to the verb in positive sentences with she, he, and it. When using the present simple, we can also say how frequently we do an action. We can use adverbs of frequency to express this. Those adverbs of frequency are always, usually, normally, often, sometimes, occasionally, seldom, hardly ever, and never. For example, she always brushes her teeth before bed. This means that she does this action all the time, always. We usually go for a walk in the evening. We usually go for a walk in the evening means that we generally do this action. They normally have lunch at 12:30. I often visit my grandparents on the weekend. He sometimes forgets his keys. We occasionally eat out at a fancy restaurant. I seldom watch television. They hardly ever complain about the weather. She has never been to New York. Apart from the adverbs of frequency, we also have expressions of frequency. These describe actions that happen on a set schedule or the number of occurrences within a period of time. We have some expressions with every. For example, every day, every week, every month, every year, every other day or every other week, and every time. For example, she calls her mother every day. With submit reports every week. The rent is due every month. They travel to the mountains every year. I only work out every other day. I feel inspired every time I read. And we also have some expressions like once a day, twice a month, 3 times a year, and 4 times per semester. For example, I check my tire pressure once a day. They meet for coffee twice a month. My doctor gives me a checkup 3 times a year. The class has a quiz 4 times per semester. We can also form questions by using WH, and we can answer them like this. Remember, we can use WH question to ask about some information about a time, about a person, about a reason. For example, what do you usually do on weekends? I usually go to the movies with my friends on weekends. How often does your family go to the beach? My family goes to the beach 3 times a year. What do you like to do in your free time? I like to draw and listen to music. When is your brother's birthday? My brother's birthday is in July. Now let's practice. Here we have 6 sentences and you have to choose the correct answer. Number 1. She does her homework after school. So, what is the correct answer here? Perfect. Does. She does her homework after school. Why does? Because we're using the third person singular she. Number 2. They play basketball at the sports center. Well done. The answer is play. They play basketball at the sports center. Number 3. Do you usually spend time with your family? Correct. Do you usually spend time with your family? Number 4. She doesn't like vegetables. Very well. The answer is doesn't. She doesn't like vegetables. Number 5. How never often do you study English? That's it. Often is the answer. So, how often do you study English? Number 6. I every day rarely go to the gym. The answer here is rarely, because rarely is an adverb of frequency and every day is an expression of frequency. Adverbs of frequency are placed after the subject and before the main verb of the sentence, and the expressions of frequency are placed at the end of the sentence. Now we have some questions and different options. Number 1. Does she visit her grandparents in Italy? Yes, she do. Yes, he does. Yes, she does. Pick the correct answer. Perfect. Yes, she does. Number 2. Does he usually study for exams? No, she does. No, he doesn't. No, he not. Well done. No, he doesn't. Number 3. How often do you practice English? No, I don't. Every day. Always. The correct answer here is always. Every day together is an adjective, so we cannot pick this as an answer. When we have the word every day separated, that's the expressions of frequency. So in this case, the correct answer is always. Number 4. What does he do on weekends? He plays soccer, he goes to the beach, he watches movies. The answer here is he watches movies. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoy it and that you have learned more about the present simple. Thank you very much. Bye.